This is Andy Purewal for Boxing Social in association with Betfred, and I'm delighted to be joined by Joe Gallagher up here in Bolton at Gallagher's gym. Joe, first and foremost, how are you doing?
Not too bad, Andy. You?
Yeah, I'm all good, mate. I'm all good. It's good to catch up with yourself once again. You've got a busy stable once again. Obviously, 6, 7, 8 months during the pandemic. Everybody kind of seeing what was happening. Fights returning now, though. As it feels to kind of get everybody back in. And I know I've been up a couple of times recently, but I believe this is the first time I've been up where you've done kind of more of a group session, whereas previously it was more like people coming in at time slots.
Yeah, they're all allocated different time slots at the time when we come back out of the pandemic, out of the lockdown. But today, like I said, we had Paul Butler in. He's got a fight coming up. Natasha Jonas, she's still flying from a fight. She wants to get back in the mix straight away. Liam Smith, he's in the gym. He wants a fight before the end of the year. God, who else was in there? Jose Burton, he's fighting, obviously, coming up as well next week. So, yeah, no, Callum Smith was in on Monday. So is Marcus. So they're all in and they're ticking over, and they're just waiting for the dates. I've got Callum Johnson training like a lunatic down in Boston. He's training away, and he's waiting for his date as well.
Let's start working through some of the stable. We'll just start off with the guys who were here today. Jose Burton obviously fighting next week out in Latvia against Ricards Bolotniks on the in the semi-final of the Golden Contract Tournament. Talk to me about that fight, Joe. First and foremost, what are you expecting from Bolotniks?
A very tough fight. Bolotniks, a good fighter. If you go through his resume, his CV, he competed a few times at cruiserweight. Acquitted himself very well against Mickey Nelson and against an African fighter who the kid went on and fought Usyk, Eddie Chambers, and obviously we've seen Mickey Nelson just lose recently to Ngubu from Dominic Ingle for the cruiserweight title. So he acquitted himself very well. He's come down to light heavyweight, and if you look at his resume, he's caused some upsets. He's a bit of a roughhouse, but he has got boxing skills. He's good at counter punching. He leads with a left hook very well. He's fighting in his hometown. He's coming off a very good win, a couple of good wins. Confidence is very high, and he's fought half a dozen Jose Burton, Stephen Ward type of opponents, so he'll be usually confident going into that. And for us, we'll be going into the Lions Den in a hostile atmosphere. They have a crowd there, which will be weird to get back boxing in front of a crowd after doing Eddie's back garden with the sky drones and listening to me and Steffi Bull talk shite. So it's good to get with a live crowd. But Jose Burton has got a very cool, difficult fight, and it's just a shame. I don't understand how the fight had to be there when the format all along was they're all together, they do the draw and they all fight. So listen, it is what it is. We've got the draw, and I think this is the final. Whoever wins this fight in Riga will win the tournament.
Talks about that, Joe. Obviously travelling to Riga in Latvia. Why is it that the fight's taking place out there? How much of a difference do you think it could play on fight night, or certainly in the week building up to it?
I think huge. I think that the way the tournament has been, no one really has an advantage. I think most of them all on neutral ground, but no one really has an advantage. For Latvia, we've seen in the World Boxing Super Series how passionate the fans were that time the show was in Riga there. And like the UK, everyone wants to see live sport, so there's got to be a live boxing event. I think it'll be sold out. They'll be passionate. They'll be cheering on the local fighter. So Jose Burton has got to stay disciplined going in there, and but it's that type of a scenario that we like as well. Going in, being the underdog, and having it backs against the wall and coming out. But Jose's sparred well. He's trained well. He's punching very hard. But this is a no-gimme fight. This is a really tough fight, and hopefully has to be switched on for every second of every minute of the round.
The other semi-final taking place, not on the same cut show, of course, on a different show. Conroy Michelle, what do you make of that one? How do you see that one playing out?
Yeah, that's a 50-50 fight. Michelle's who's a very good fighter, a very good amateur, turned pro. Hasn't really been given much momentum to his career. Stop-start. I think he's been out of injuries or illness and whatever, but when you look and study him, he has got a very good skill set, good boxing skill set, does basics very well, and he has some neat punches. Liam Conroy is a kid that's improved on the job over the years. He's got better. I know he's lost a couple of times when he's stepped up. Obviously, I think it was against Josh Boatse and that, but he acquitted himself in them times, and he had Ding Dong with Stephen Ward as well, which was a good fight. So Liam Conroy is a very live fighter in that contest. But it'll be interesting to see how serious Michelle takes Liam Conroy. If he doesn't take him serious, then Conroy could pull off the upset there.
Just to move away from that one and on to kind of another person in the gym. We haven't seen him here today, but Sam Hyde, certainly been a little quiet about him. Where's Sam? Not necessarily yours. You've said you've been quiet, but things have gone quiet around him. What is the situation with Sam?
Sam's just living the good life. You know, in lockdown, obviously he has his business with his gymnasium, and he's getting that up and running, doing Zooms and classes and abiding by whatever legislation and stuff that the government do. So it's been hard for him. He lost a lot of money, and he's just been getting his business going again and earning money and waiting until an opportunity or a fight or someone comes on to do it, and he'll get back in the gym. But like you say, he's a kid that is a grafter, and he's out there and he's got to put food on the table and earn a living. And boxing isn't doing that for a lot of fighters at the moment, and until there's a fight there for Sam, he'll come in the gym then when he is. But first and foremost, he's got to take care of the bills at home first. And like I say, with his gym and his business, that's his priority at the moment.
Marcus Morrison, another man who wasn't here today. What is the latest with Marcus, though? I know he was eager to face one of Felix Cash or Jason Wellborn previously before the pair of them fought each other. Anything going on with Marcus you can update us on? Yeah,
he's just become a dad for the second time, hence why he hasn't been in this last week. Had another little baby girl, so he's enjoying being a dad again and helping out with the chores, looking after Amelia. So listen, he wants to be in it. Like I said last time, him and Brian Rose is a very good fight. It was interesting to see all of them fight each other recently. Obviously, he had Cullen, Zach Chella. He also had Cash and Wellborn. The weekend, he's seen Bentley, Heffron. And I do think Marcus Morrison and Brian Rose was that type of similar fight. So it'd be good if we could get that fight on. It's a fight that I don't think it'd be hard to make, whether it be on BT or be on Matchroom or whoever, but I think that's a good fight. And we seem to have our own little Super 8 tournament when once that fight's done, and the 3 or 4 of the winners of them then go on and fight each other with a final type of thing. Do you understand? It's just helping division and keeping that division active and healthy at the moment.
Tasha Jonas, obviously Tasha waiting to see what she's going to be up to next, back in the gym now, ticking over. I said to her earlier, I asked her earlier, does she feel that maybe because of the standard and the quality of the performance she produced against Terry Harper, will it come back on her? Will it maybe make other fighters take note a bit more and think, is it worth having that fight because of the risk involved now, because of what they can all expect from Tasha? Or do you think it will enhance her reputation and give her a better opportunity on securing a bigger fight?
I think both, really. I think, as you said there, people thought Tasha was over the hill, and that's very much what Steffi and Terry thought, and they thought it was an easy defence. And like I said, we proved otherwise, and Tasha should have them belts around her. We all call her the champ in the gym. Everyone knows she was the world champion. Hugely disappointed we didn't get the rematch. Came out of the ring and Eddie Hearn said, we'll get that rematch. We'll do it in Liverpool or Doncaster or before a crowd, and we'll do that. And it puzzles me how Dylan White-Pavett can get a rematch, but Tasha Jonas and Terry Harper didn't get the rematch. I know there's mandatories, but you've seen how the WBC work. If there's unfinished business, as you've seen with Wilder and Tyson Fury, another thing is the mandatory has to wait until that's resolved, and that fight, Terry Harper and Natasha Jonas, was unfinished business. So, like you say, that was a huge kick in the teeth. So that answers, you say, your second point there, first point, that some people might not want to take that risk again with her. Obviously, I've seen they've done a new deal with Eddie, so I don't think they really want to get Terry beat anytime soon. I think they've offered Natasha most probably a fight against Heather Hardy, but she's on a drug suspension thing, so you don't be going fighting someone there that's coming off a drug ban. So yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. There's Katie Taylor, that's a good fight, interesting fight. Sky are interested in that fight. I know Katie Taylor team are interested in that fight. So that'd be good if that could materialise, but I think Katie has her mandatory, I think WBA one to be put on her now, so it's a case of Natasha performing, getting a fight now, getting a win, and then seeing whether we can nail down Terry or Katie. by the end of the year, or if not, February, March next year. Natasha, she's in the gym, she's training hard. And listen, there's possibilities over there. Whether Tasha fights a Wallstrom or somebody else, we'll just have to see. But like Tasha said, I'd fight Jessie McCaskill, I'll fight Katie Taylor. She'll jump up, move down, whatever, just to get that opportunity. So, yeah, like you say, there's fights there for her. We'll just have to see now what they offer her and of what they offer her, which fights, and also the money as well, because everyone can agree that in fight camp that women's boxing came out on a high, Katie Taylor on a high, and we all know Katie Taylor's on great money, but for the rest of the girls now, they're not slaves. Natasha Jonas is no slave. She needs paying right now, and she's performed. We knew it was an opportunity, fight for a world title given to us, but she's performed, she's acquitted herself, showed everyone what she's good of, and she wants her paying accordingly now. And I see Heather Hardy, I see Cecilia over there commenting on it as well. And the other world champion, what's she called? She said she was going to do a story on about the money and everything else, and that's it. And they're providing the entertainment. Everyone's enjoying watching the bouts, and the girls need paying rightly as well. And if they want to see them fights, they've got to pay the girls good money as well.
Just on the Terry Harper rematch, obviously, which hasn't come to fruition, how much of a surprise was it for yourself and obviously for Tasha that you didn't see that rematch made? And what do you make of Terry's bout with Katarina Fanders?
Yeah, Katarina Fanders, listen, she's technically good. I think she just beat the girl that beat Rachel Ball, who beat Courtney, yeah. So she's really a super bantam featherweight that's moving up. And I can see them taking the easier fight against Fanders. Because they see it as all get a mandatory out of the way and it's an easier fight than having to deal with Natasha Jonas. But I don't know, I just, everyone wants to see Natasha Jonas versus Terry Harper. Boxing News did a poll last week and 2 of the 4 of them said Natasha Jonas, Terry Harper was the outstanding fight in fight camp. So everyone wants to see it, so why could they not want to see it again, or give Fanders a bit of step aside and make that fight again? Surely Sky want that fight, surely they want to see it again. I didn't really see many people screaming for Povetkin Dylan White fight again, and that rematch has been made. So some boxing, it is what it is. Everyone knows the bigger picture, everyone knows boxing, everyone knows just to see the wider picture. I don't have to spell it out, but it's criminal that Terry Harper and Tasha Jonas straight rematch wasn't done.
Liam Smith also in the gym today. I know he's just ticking over. He said to me he's just ticking over, but he's hoping, and he said, I actually said to him, you know, in this kind of current climate, it may have been hard to get certain fights on board. Would he be interested in maybe facing one of those domestic guys, i.e. something like the Cheeseman or Scott Fitzgerald, you know, the Kieran Conways? Those guys are all kind of bandied about together. And he said that when he saw Eddie at the fight camp show that Tasha was on, he kind of saw what was what, kind of put it to him and mentioned that Jesse Vargas fight once again. Where does the land lie with Liam? When can we expect something to kind of come to fruition with him? I
thought, to be fair, Liam would have been in one of them 4 shows that was announced yesterday. Liam is very underrated. He had a good year last year, 3 fights, built up momentum, boxed in Mexico, America, beat Sam Eggington. And yeah, really to push on this year. Obviously the pandemic, you can't help that, but you think he'd be one of the premier fighters at Sky to get an outing, but he never seems to be mentioned. Liam, Sky wheeled him out to try and build up general interest for the Callum-Brook fight. Brook looks like he's got the Crawford fight, and I just think Liam Smith needs to get out there in a big fight. I've said to him, move up to middleweight, get a big fight, or big fight or not big fight, just get out and have a fight. That's the main thing. There's plenty of kids that you can fight out there on the European scene that you can fight and have a 10-rounder against, or the European title fight, or they were on about Cheeseman being ranked number whatever it was in the IBF. We'll make Cheeseman Liam Smith. You know what I mean? It's a fight, and we've got to look after Liam Smith here. He's a premier fight. He's one of the best in the country, and he's 31 in his prime, and it's criminal that he still We're now middle of September and we haven't got a date for him yet, and he's in the gym training. Hopefully that he will get that call, but he should have been right when people talk about getting fighters out there, a Katie Taylor, a Anthony Joshua, a Bawatsa. Liam Smith's name needs to roll off that tongue at the same time as well as is Callum Johnson, as is Callum Smith as well. So yeah, there's some unbelievable talent that just doesn't seem to be able to get them fights at the moment. But Liam Smith needs to definitely be out before the end of the year.
Liam still holds those ambitions of challenging for another world title and certainly fighting at world level. But would you be happy to make, I know you've just mentioned there, but would you be happy to make a Cheeseman fight, a domestic fight, just to kind of get him back in the ring and active?
Yeah, 100%. We've seen it before. Lots of fighters all the time. The marking time fights, ticking over fights, and it's about the picking picture. It's a huge opportunity for Ted Cheeseman. If he wants to push on for world honours and step up, then test yourself against Liam Smith. For Liam Smith, we've got to give him a job, either European or whatever. If we can't get the Americans over or Mexican over, then we've got to get him an opportunity. But I just need Liam Smith to fight and get him out there and keep his ratings activated and keep everyone seeing him. And like you said, because he fought twice last year on the road, I think that a lot of people may have forgot about Liam, but just to get him out there on one of these Saturday fight night shows, and that's what it is. Liam, he's everyone that comes to this gym and watches Liam Smith spar or leave going, wow, he's good. Him, you don't realise how good he is till you watch him up close and personal. And I just think if we can get him out before Sky now, and that's it. Okay, the Callum-Brook fight hasn't happened, but don't forget about Liam Smith. Do you know what I mean? That he was like one of the main things in the fight. Let's not forget about him, because the Brook fight is still relevant, still a talented fighter, he's still a former world champion. He is one of the best in the country at what he does. So let's get him out and get him relevant and get him that second world title.
As I mentioned, Liam spoke about the Jesse Vargas fight. Do you think that is an achievable fight to make, certainly before the year's out?
I don't know. With government and this corona and COVID and flight restrictions and the board, and I don't know, it changes whatever Boris decides one week from another. So it's very hard. But what we do know, domestically, is we can make fights. Do you know what I mean? Liam's proved himself to be the number one. He's had 2 wins over Liam Williams. He can, like I said, there's fighters in Europe now that they can come over. And I'm not sure what Garcia's position is with that European title. But whether he's still got it or not, but there is fights to be made for him. Do you know what I mean? There is. I know that there's a motto: no easy fights in fight camp, but we all seen there was some easy fights, and we're not saying for Cheeseman Liam Smith's an easy fight. It's not, but it's a good fight.
Just to move away from Liam's own career, but to stick with him, he gave kind of a very passionate outlook on his brother Callum's career and how things have kind of gone since he defeated George Groves in the World Boxing Super Series a couple of years ago now. He said he could see Callum and Billy Joe, actually both the pair of them, but in Callum's case being his brother, walking away from the sport because of a lack of opportunities and the way that kind of a career of Callum has gone over these last couple of years. What are your thoughts on those comments, first and foremost? Yeah,
listen, I share Liam's pain. I see it myself. I worked with the kid for so long, seen his ability, and no one has seen the best Callum Smith yet. That performance is waiting to break out. As well he did against Groves, and we stopped him in, I think it was round 7. There was so much more still to give in that fight. As much as I was happy, I was disappointed that we didn't show everything. Yeah, but I can understand that. Callum is usually frustrated. He wants to be involved with fights, and not only that though, he's never talked about. He's never talked about the Sky do nothing with him. He's never on no shows. He's forgotten about it. He's not taught to it. There's been lesser people win lesser stuff and being put everywhere. And Callum Smith is Eddie Hearn's only ring belt champion. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, I think you're right.
No. Yeah, I think Frank Warren has Tyson Fury. Josh Taylor is with Top Rank MTK. So he's only Eddie's ring champion yet. There's, I don't know, since John Ryder. Where are we now? September. 9 months. I haven't seen much Callum Smith on TV. Either punditry work, TV shows. We got him the Soccer AM gig when he was down there. So yeah, so I can understand it when no one's talking or you're being kept relevant or business. And these fights or that fights, they're not happening, do you know what I mean? And like I say, I've said to Callum all along, like I say, if we don't get the Canelo, let's go and try and get the Callum Plant fight. That's a good fight for you. Obviously, Benavidez that's gone. Disappointed that the WBC didn't make that. I think with the Canelo situation now, surely the zone ain't got to allow Canelo go off and fight on Fox for Yildirim and on a Heyman show. Surely they'll put some type of injunction on him while there's this court litigation going on. But then I seen one judge threw Canelo's case out the other day, didn't they, through not proper paperwork or whatever or another. So if that doesn't happen, then I'd be demanding, and hopefully that Callum Eddie will be forcing the WBC to make that fight, Yildirim versus Callum Smith, and that'll be good then for Callum. Bit of momentum, wins the WBC belt as the WBA and the WBA, so it'll be 2 champions, and then the Callum Plant fight, or like you say, Canelo will sort his business out, and then we can go and fight him again next year. But I do think Callum Smith needs to fight. We can't be sat here waiting just in case on the Canelo, and now that's tied up. I do feel he needs to go out there and get a fight, and if it isn't Callum Plant's a good fight because it's in America, it's good exposure, and Callum will get the money for that.
Joe, when you go back to his victory over George Groves, I'm sure if you asked anybody who follows boxing, a fan, somebody who works in it, then there's probably that sense of frustration that we haven't seen Callum in a big fight yet throughout the sport. In your opinion, why do you believe it is that we haven't seen Callum secure a fight, whether it be against a champion or in Canelo's case, or somebody who's just a big name in the super middleweight division? Why do you believe it is that we haven't actually seen him in a huge fight since Groves?
I'm not going to say it, but it'll be in my book one day. It'll be in my book one day, and yeah, it's just criminal what's gone on behind the scenes. So yeah, it's just I don't know. Listen, he's a markable kid. He's a big punching kid. He's got a knockout reel, turns up, fights, put performance in, and yeah, he's there, fight anyone, everyone in the gym, and like I say, the opportunities haven't come for him. To be thought regular and often, when you look back years ago when Ricky Hatton was fighting 4 times a year and other fighters were fighting 4 times, everyone knows you have your mandatory, you have your tough mandatory, then you have a touch as a voluntary, you defend. Do you know what I mean? You see Kawasaki years ago fighting, you took a Pudwells and Frotch having a few jobs, and then they have the hard fights, and Callum Smith, he's beating a dam, and then obviously we had our mandatory, and then we should have had him out in March, and then he should be out again before the mandatory comes round again, but Canelo's been dangling the carrot a little bit, so like you say, it's regardless now, he needs to get a fight, and that's it, whoever it is.
Has there been any temptation again? I remember about a year ago you guys were considering your options, whether or not to stick with Matchroom. Has there been any temptation to kind of just have that fresh start once again and look at any offers that could be tabled, or trying to see what else could be out there?
Not that I'm aware of. I've not spoke to Callum about it whatsoever. I know he's busy moving house and everything else. Yeah, like I said, last year there was a few offers on the table from certain people, but Callum chose to stay where he was, and yeah, that's it.
We led into Callum Smith talk from a Liam Smith question, but just to kind of relate Liam back into this next one, he was obviously looking at that possible Callum-Brook fight name was being mentioned. It does now seem to be that Callum-Brook is destined to face Terence Crawford. Certainly seems like it could be agreed. What do you make of it if we was to see Terence Crawford versus Callum-Brook?
I think it's a good fight. It's if Cal's taking it, this is my last hurrah, and he's like half doing it to make weight, and that's it, then Terence Crawford. Then, yeah, but if Callum-Brook sees it as, Joe, what, this is my last go, I'm going to give it everything I've got here, because I'm telling you, I'm motivated on it. Callum-Brook could cause Crawford problems. Yeah, I'm telling you, Callum-Brook, whether he's got the desire and the fire in the belly still, like when he went over and beat Sean Porter, that's the Callum-Brook we need. That'll be a good fight. If it isn't, then it's Crawford all the way. But I wish and I hope, and having Dominic Ingle, and I know how such a competitive person he has wanting to win, he'll be like pushing Kel through it. And you see Kel doing bits of training now and everything else, sparring Billy Joe. It'd be a huge opportunity for Callum-Brook to shock the world. I'd love Callum-Brook to go and shock the world. Do you understand it? He won the world title, but he never moved on. He never had it. He could redeem himself all in this one night. Will Crawford take Brook easy? Maybe. But we've seen Kel against Triple G. He gave it a go. Spence, he gave it a go. The only things is the injuries he sustained in them fight. He's a long time out the ring now. He's rested. He can't fight like he did when he did in Sheffield last time out or whenever it was. But motivated Brook, injury free, makes that a very good fight.
Just to move away from kind of that, just get your thoughts on a few things in the boxing world before I let you shoot off, Joe. Some fights that were announced. Just to go back to kind of the Matchroom's latest shows that have been announced. White Povetkin 2. Surprised at all that the rematch has been done so soon on the back of their previous outing in August. Sorry, it was September 1st, was it? Or
yeah, it was back end of August, wasn't it? Yeah, hugely surprised. I was surprised, one, that they got the rematch. I thought it was a final eliminator. I don't think they do rematches for final eliminators. I just think on Povetkin's side, he's like, because Maurizio and everyone said, this is it, win this, Dylan, you get a world title shot. Povetkin won, and it's like, oh, hang on a minute, it's not for you, it's our ball, you play by our rules. Povetkin, you don't go and fight the winner now with Fury and Dylan, Wilder. You've got to fight Dylan again. And it's like, oh, hang on a minute, but if Dylan would have won, Povetkin wouldn't have got the rematch. Do you know what I mean? I just feel sorry for a bit for Povetkin. He came over, beat him, came from behind from a couple of knockdowns and got a win. And it's like, he's like, I've got the winner of Wilder Fury here now, do you know what I mean? Or a vacant title if Tyson gives it up. And just bit feel sorry for Povetkin, really, because if Dylan would have won, they wouldn't have ordered a rematch. And it was a conclusive finish. And the other thing as well, that Dylan only got 28 days as well. When I'm not sure whether he received oxygen in the air in the ring or not, or air. Oxygen, but that's like a 45 days suspension straight away. That was only 28 days, and yet I don't know who fought Dex Spielman at the week. Dex Spielman got 45 days. So yeah, Dylan White was laid out like in 28 days. So whether it's the right thing for him to get back in, but there's it is what it is. So like I say, no real interest in the fight. That's it. Do you know what I mean? I just feel sorry for Povetkin, really.
Something I was going to ask you next with regards to kind of the medical suspension. A surprise that Dillian received only 28 days because he took such a heavy knockdown in comparison to Deck. Well, he's knocked out, yeah, in comparison to Deck, who's received a 45-day suspension.
Yeah, 100%. I think myself, if it was my own fighter, I'd be saying to the board, no, that's 45 days. He needs to go away, rest, recover, make sure he's all right. What you don't want within 28 days from that day, he's back in the gym and he can be sparring. And God forbid anything might happen, because there'll be a lot of questions to be answered if there was, what happens if Dylan White gets knocked out again, concussively like that? Just say, he might not, but I'm just saying, what if he did? And he's left not in the best way? You just don't know, do you? Well, who sanctioned that for it to go ahead so straight away with only 28 days? And people got to talk about it, because it is a brutal sport, it is illegalised killing. Isn't Dylan White might turn around and do Povetkin and finish the fight that he should have fought last time, and no one talks about it? But what if he doesn't, and he gets laid out cold again, and it's a little bit more serious? These are fighters' lives, and fighters are so wanting to get in straight away and put things right. Jose Burton was mad to get in that ring with Frank Buglioni for a rematch. Never happened. Callum Johnson, it doesn't, but you've got to let everything calm down, make sure medically that they're okay and that have had enough time to recover, because they're heavyweights, sparring camps, they're not like shots they're getting hit with, are they? Do you know what I mean? The spar, like Dylan White will be sparring big guys, Povetkin will be sparring big guys, and the blows they're taking in the sparring won't help the cause neither. So I just think the right thing to do was to be 45 days, but that's just my opinion. Everyone has an opinion. The British Board of Control deemed it fit to give him 28 days, to give Dex Spielman 45. So that's it, but just like fingers crossed now that the fight goes ahead and it's a good fight and no one comes out seriously injured.
Just on the rematch itself, from a tactical standpoint, what do you think we need to see differently from Dillian this time round? Do you think we need to see more of that kind of raw or aggressive side that we've been used to seeing from him over the years, where in the past when he dropped Alexander in the fourth round twice, we would have seen him kind of just jump on him and look to finish it? Do you think we need to see that back in Dillian, or boxing to a similar level or standard or kind of tactics to which they'd produced before the Povetkin fight the first time round?
I don't know. I thought it got all a bit. I thought Dylan was boxing well, but I thought right from, you could see it early on, Povetkin was looking for shots, not throwing. Then he dropped the shoulder, left hook body, and Dylan was coming back. He was countering well with the left hook to the body. But because Povetkin had showed it so many times, Dylan got used to it, and then Povetkin thought, right, you're coming with that now, and left himself open, got caught with the uppercut. Listen, if Dylan would have finished it in the right round, wouldn't we start talking about it? He did well. He was patient behind the jab, landed good shots, and did well. I do feel on fight week, bringing somebody else in and they're having an opinion in the corner, don't think was the right thing. I think that team and his trainer, which I thought was a bit disrespectful, his main trainer, had been with Dylan the whole camp, done the tactics, done everything else, and it should have been one voice and one voice alone in the corner. So whatever Dave was brought in for, I don't know, but I understand when that happens, like when Tyson Fury fought in Vegas against Wilder and you got Ben Davidson and everything else, smart move bringing Freddie Roach in. Freddie Roach knows all the rules, he knows the commissioners, he knows everyone else, and he's got a bit of experience into that, I understand that. But for someone who's not been part of fight camp or anything to come in and then to try and have a say and input when they don't know what was going on with the fight, it overruled a little bit the number one coach in the corner, do you understand? And whether he was caught between two voices in the corner when there only should be one. I think if Dave's got to be part of it, he needs to get out to Portugal now and be part of it or not. Does that make sense? Yeah. So maybe getting caught in between, listening to too many people. He should have just, too many cooks spoil the broth, as they're saying. There should be one voice only in the corner. But I think, like you say, if Dylan comes out, he'll be wary of his punching power this time. Will that make Dylan come forward a little bit more aggressive? I don't think so. I think if he just sticks to what he did last time, bit more of a jab, keep things tight, and be aware of the shot that he got caught with last time. It was a belting shot. I'm sure Povetkin's got to go away and worked on Dylan White's game plan, what he did well. That's the thing, we're not talking about Povetkin, who's just someone that dragged out of a pub and got lucky. He's a world-class fighter, do you know what I mean? Who's been in against the best, and only the best have beat him.
One thing I just want to touch on, another fight which was announced, Loma-Lopez. What do you make of that undisputed lightweight world title fight?
Great fight. Absolutely brilliant fight. Fair play to everyone who's involved for making the fight. I love the fact that it's just going on normal TV in America. That's brilliant. You can see what they're doing there, can't they? Everyone wants live sport. They're speculating to accumulate. They've put the money where their mouth is. The amount of fans that have got to tune in, and that's like watching your old fights that were normal, like Leonard Hearns or whatever, do you know what I mean? Where everyone became a household name. The winner of that now, next time they have a fight and it goes pay-per-view, the audience that they're attracted, that'll be driven to that to watch them again. It's a win-win. They're speculating to accumulate. They might got to lose a bit of money, put money where the house is, but they're going out there. Whether they get the advertisers in between the rounds and everything else to put money into it, but that's a very smart move. That, and they've got to bring in a new boxing audience that most have never heard of Lomachenko. Do you understand? But then when they go pay-per-view for the next fight, they've got to bring them fans in with them, and I think it's especially when the pay-per-view model is struggling in America. I think that was a very, very smart move, that whoever's idea it was at Top Rank. What
do you expect to see from the fight from tactical standpoint? How do you expect it to play out?
I think Loma's Loma, like anything. He's being up against him, he's absolutely class. Lopez, technically good as well, got power. Lomachenko, the more Lopez talk, has got to burn the fire in Lomo to make sure he's got to turn up just as a gimme. He's got to be switched on, ultimate professional. Lopez, young, strong, huge opportunity, and he's got to bring it. But has he got to be doing a lot of huffing and puffing while hitting fresh air, while Loma is dancing and boxing and being a Redondo type style? We'll have to see. If he can drag Loma off his feet and hurt him and land big shots, it's hitting him first. And as Muhammad Ali says, if you can't hit what you can't see, and Loma's very, very good.
Joe, we'll leave that there now because I'm sure I've taken a lot more of your time than you thought I would do. It's been a pleasure to catch up with you. I'm sure I'll catch up with you soon. Thanks, Speakers Boxing Social.
Yeah, no problem. Cheers for coming up, Andy.
Brilliant. Cheers, Joe.
Cheers, Andy. Thank you.
It's perfect.